Okay, you guys ready? We are going to talk today about what to never do when you're trying to go staffless. So I first want to say that if you have staff, this is still for you, because wouldn't it be lovely if your team could show up to the office and only do what they're great at doing, as opposed to things that are just not the best use of their talent? If you don't have staff, what I'm going to talk about today is the mistakes that I see people make when they try to automate, when they try to streamline. And the first of all, I'm Dr. Jody Dinnerman, if we haven't already met. And a few years ago, I created Staffless Practice Success System, and it's been growing like wildfire ever since, because overnight, the world changed and the way that we practice changed, and people want more of what they want yesterday. They want things fast and they want to feel connected. And that combination can be tricky for a lot of us, especially if, this group specifically is for wellness practitioners. If your focus is giving great care, if your focus is changing the world, like your vision is that big with the care that you give, if your focus is to create multiple streams of income with your talent and your know-how and your expertise, you're talking about me. That's me, right? I go to my office and I'm not adjusting people. I'm a chiropractor. I'm not adjusting people because it makes their headache go away. I'm adjusting people because it makes them more connected to their purpose on the planet. And I know that if I'm not distracted by this thing, and I'm not distracted by all of the admin needs, I'm going to be more connected to how to best do that in that moment. I'm going to be more connected to, I always say that I'm closest to God when I wake up first thing in the morning. That's when I get my yes. That's when I get my next step. I'm closer and closer to that clear connection if I'm not distracted. And what distracts me is going to be different than what distracts you. And that's why when I coach people, when I work with doctors all over the world, it's not cookie cutter. You guys can't say to me, Jody, how much does your program cost? Because it's different for every person, every need, every skill set, every practice style. It's different. So I want to talk today about the mistakes that I see people make when they try to streamline this stuff. I'm going to say the first mistake that they make is they try to add more instead of take stuff away. For some reason, we're in this mindset where if we just add one more system, one more policy, one more procedure, one more service type, one more program, one more coaching program, one more of whatever, one more book, one more product, right? That's going to do it. That's going to be the shiny object. It's shiny object syndrome. And the truth is that when we want to master something, it's kind of like if you've got a really messy counter. I'm looking at my counter over here. If I walk up to that counter and I clear it off and there's nothing on it, what happens to my experience when I look at that counter? What happens is there's space for the next piece to show up, right? The same is true with systems in our office. And if we keep trying to add systems, what ends up happening is we get so overwhelmed by all of the additions, we lose the sense of purpose that we started with. So less is more when it comes to practice systems. When I teach systems, the systems of the Staffless Practice Success System, most of the time what we're doing is we're looking at what you've already got in place and we're making it good. We're making it as streamlined and efficient as possible. I always talk about texting and how important a texting program is for a practice, especially if you want efficiency front and center. And the caveat is that the texting programs that are out there do everything under the sun, including texting. And it's overwhelming to me. It's overwhelming to my practice members because I promise you, I've tried implementing those things. Did not work for this chiropractor at all. I need something that the only thing that it does when I look at it is has a texting conversation with my practice members. Another example of overcomplicating systems is there's a program, and if you guys are already my students and you go into the tech kit, you're going to see that I did a course on Zapier, Zapier. Zapier is where you can make one program see another program and create an automation for it. And my downfall, my default is to create zaps. Like I'm a happy zapper, and I'll create a zap and then I'll forget about it. And then I'll create another zap that takes the place of that zap. And then I'll start getting messages from Zapier that none of my zaps are working. And it's because I forgot what I had in place in the first time because I'm overcomplicating it. So keep it simple as possible when it comes to systems. Take things away instead of adding things in. The only other thing that I want to say about this is we do have a course inside of Staffless Practice Academy called 3 Boxes. And the concept is that on a regular basis, ideally once a quarter, you're walking around the office and it's like you Marie Kondo your office. You're walking around the office and you throw stuff in that's no longer relevant. You recycle stuff, you get rid of stuff, right? You're cleaning house, you're clearing house at least once a quarter. You want to do that with your software programs. You want to do that with the physical space. You want to do that with your practice members. You want to have a really clean recall system with your practice. The only other place that this shows up, I know I keep saying that I'm going to go to the next topic, but there's a lot here, is when it comes to marketing. So next week, we're talking about marketing from the heart. Right? So becoming a magnet to your community. Instead of pushing yourself on people, you're pulling people towards you with your intention and your actions, right? Energetically. So there's nothing more dangerous, in my opinion, than an unstable foundation of a practice bringing new people in. It can truly create ultimate chaos for the practice owner and the team. If your systems are not in place, if you're leaving 2 hours after your last patient of the day because you're so backed up on notes, if you look at your inbox and there are lines of emails going, you guys put a break on the attraction of new patients and get your house in order, and then bring new people into the need. Bring new people into the order. Bring new people into the stage that you once set for them. And then you can set up the stage for people who stay, pay, and refer for a lifetime. Okay, so that's one part of what to not do. Don't think that you need to add more. Take away, simplify, go back to basics. That's thing 1. Thing 2, I already touched on a little bit, and it's automation. I see people trying to automate things that just shouldn't be automated. And when I ask them why, their answer usually is somebody told me to do it this way. It didn't feel true and relevant to them when they were told to do it that way. They still did it that way. And what it's done is it's created this feedback loop of confusion. Only automate what truly needs to be automated. So when you have a task in front of you, this is my best piece of advice to you. Here it comes. Are you listening? And I talked about this last week too. You can do one of 4 things with the task in front of you. So let's say that the task is, I just got off the phone with a client and I've got a list of things that I need to make sure that I put in front of her for our next call. Okay. So that's a task that needs to be done. And I have 4 options of what I can do with that task. Option 1 is I can just do it. Just get it done right now and it's done. Option 2 is I can decide that it's not something that really needs to be done and I can let it go. Option 3 is I can delegate it. If I'm going to delegate it, that's going to open up a whole can of worms. Am I delegating it to somebody who knows how to catch and receive it? Am I delegating it to somebody who's going to screw it up and give more work for me to do? Am I delegating it to somebody who can truly receive the information and maybe even create more greatness from it? Who am I delegating it to? That again, if you're one of my clients, that's all in team of 1. We have a whole school based on delegation. And then 4th and finally, the other option is that we could automate it. So with each, obviously I couldn't automate a to-do list for the specific client because it's specific to her and her needs. And that's where I'm saying automation can be an Achilles heel. It can also be your best friend. If I try to automate something like getting a list over to my client, I'm going to mess it up. It's going to create confusion for her. It's going to create confusion for me. It's going to shortchange my team from the experience of getting to help me out. And actually what I did with that one task from the phone call I just got off of is I sent a Slack to my team member and I delegated half of it to her. And I've got the other half written down because if I don't write it, it doesn't happen. And that's how I took care of that one task. You guys have to remember, I have about 100 of those tasks every day. And if you're running your own practice, you probably do too. So one of four things, you either do it, you decide it doesn't need to be done, you delegate it, or you automate it. And the mistake I see made is automating things that shouldn't be automated. So we go into what should be automated and how it should be automated inside of Staffless Practice Academy. Okay, what else should you not do? I'm going to say that this is the third and final. Don't disconnect from your truth. Don't disconnect from your truth. Don't listen to people or systems or programs that disconnect you from your yes, from what feels honoring and cohesive to the vision for your practice. Listen to your gut, listen to the yes, listen to what resonates to you. Get to know resonates with you. Get to know what a yes feels like to you. I'm going to tell you what a yes feels like to me. And again, this is different for everybody. When my kids were little, they're now 14 and 17. When my kids were little and they used to get off the bus, I could just look at them and I could tell immediately if it was the kind of afternoon that I was going to need to get the milk and cookies out and sit down at the table and be really calm and centered with them, or if it was the kind of afternoon where we can jump in the car and start running errands. I could just tell because there was a feeling that I got when I looked at them when they got off the bus. I still get that feeling, but I don't have the milk and cookies because they're older, right? I mean, I do still have milk and cookies, don't get me wrong. I want you to take that concept. Where would I feel that? I would see them, I would feel it like right in my heart space. Sometimes I feel it in my gut, like, oh, not right. Sometimes I think it and I can't find it in my physical body. Everybody's experience is different when they're feeling or hearing or experiencing their truth. If you come across, I used to have a coach that would talk to me about all of the offers that would come across his desk. He would have this big name bring an offer in, put it on his desk, and he would just watch the offers come in and watch them go, watch them come in and watch them go. And as I get deeper into this role of facilitating the Staffless Practice community, that's happening with me. I'm getting all of these offers to speak on this stage, to share with this community, to send my book to this group, all of these things. And some of them, when the offer comes on my desk, I can't find it. I can't find, do I get the intuitive yes? Do I think yes, but don't feel it? And I'm giving you permission to give that time. If you have a program or a policy or a procedure or a system that's put in front of you and you don't get your yes for it or your intuitive knowing for it, give it time, you guys. Time is one of our most precious commodities. It's a gift. And if we are able to use the gift of time, and it could be 1 second, it could be a month, it could be a year. Time takes time. It's one of the principles of chiropractic. We get 33 principles. One of them is that time takes time because it's that important. So thing number one, don't add more, take stuff away. Thing number two, automate what should be automated and go through the 4 things with each task. Don't automate things that shouldn't be automated. Thing number 3, find your yes with the new things, like the new systems, the new policies, the new procedures. Okay, I promise you my last chocolate bar. And if you know me, you know how I feel about chocolate. If you follow those 3 things, if you do not steer from your truth, if you use automation the way that it should be used for your practice specifically, and that's not something that you can read in a book, that's based on your experience and practice, it's authentic to you and your expression on the planet. If you do these things, you're going to love practice. I promise. Okay, now that I've promised my last chocolate bar to you all, that's like a serious thing, you guys. I must really love you. And I'm just going to make sure there are no questions in the group. If you're watching the recording of this, thanks for watching. I do go live every Monday, and it looks like we're good to go. I'm loving you guys from here. I hope your day is awesome.